Hello and welcome to i-nastava. This is English language lesson for the 4th grade of high school. The topic today is rich and famous. My name is Rejhana Nuhanović Tadijan and I will be your teacher for this lesson. In today's lesson, you will present facts about a famous person in an infographic, and you will also describe your imaginary life. Before we start, you need to prepare your notebook, pen or pencil. You need to have internet access and, if possible, a QR code reader. First, I'd like you to take a look at these photos of different celebrities and try to figure out who they are. I'm sure you are familiar with most, if not all of them. The first one is Rejhana. Then there is Oprah, Jay-Z, Dolly Parton, and Steven Spielberg. I'm sure this one was easy, but do you know who this is? Any idea? This is Jeff Bezos. He is an American entrepreneur, and he is the founder of Amazon. How much do you think he earns? Do you think he is rich? He earns about $321 million per day. So he is one of the richest people in the world. But is he famous? Did you recognize his face like the other ones, the other celebrities? And why do you think that is? I have a question for you I'd like you to think about. Do you think that famous equals rich? That means, do you think that all rich people are famous and vice versa? Are all famous people rich? Can you name some people who are, for example, billionaires, but not very popular? Or some famous people who are not so wealthy? And here's another question. Do you believe that all famous and rich people are also talented? Do you think that their wealth is deserved? Can you name a few that you know are famous, but you have no idea what they are famous for? Do you believe a person's choice of career determines how wealthy they will become? In your opinion, are there some professions that are more likely to bring you fame and a lot of money? I'd like you to pause this lesson and make a list of the professions you think are most lucrative. Is it an actor, a sports star, or, for example, an entrepreneur? And now, I'd like you to check who the richest people in the world are according to the Forbes list. You can use this link, forbes.com, billionaires, or scan the code and compare your answers with their main source of wealth and the industry they are engaged in, and you can find it in the list. Are there any differences? Can you draw a conclusion? What are most profitable industries? Are they the same as you have predicted earlier, or are you surprised? And do you want to become rich and famous? If you do, here is a perfect set of advice to follow. You can find 9 life hacks for the rich and famous and how to become one. I'd like you to read it carefully and take notes. You should pause this lesson, read the text, and explain each piece of advice using only one sentence and your own words, so you need to rephrase it. Then think about them and decide which could be applied in your own life. What could you personally do to become wealthier in the future? We talk about rich and famous people all the time, but can you think of some synonyms, some different words with the same or similar meaning to describe them? Please pause this video again and try to write down all the words you can come up with without using a dictionary. They can be both formal and informal expressions and also in a negative context. And then we will compare. So here are they. For rich, you can use the words wealthy, well off, well to do, loaded. A person can be rolling in it or rolling in money, flush, opulent, moneyed, or affluent. For famous, you can use well-known, renowned, world famous, legendary, high profile, prominent, eminent, and in a negative context for something bad, you can use infamous or notorious. And here is a well-known hangman game with these words so you can practice them some more. You can type in this link bit.ly rf hangman or scan the code and play it. Now I'd like you to imagine you follow the advice from the article and in year 2031, 10 years from now, you are a billionaire. Your first task now is to write notes about your life. Here are some topics and questions you need to cover. The first one is your job. So what is your job? What is that you do actually now? How much money do you earn? You can state your amount a day, a month, or a year. How many hours a day do you work? And for how long have you done that? And do you enjoy it? Then you should mention your family and home. Are you married? Do you have any children? Where do you live? What does your house look like? Free time is the next topic. Do you have any free time? And how do you spend it? Do you go on holiday? Where do you go? And how do you travel there? What are the most valuable possessions you have? Do you collect anything? Or do you have maybe an expensive hobby? Then you mention your friends. Do you have many friends? And are they the same friends you used to have? Are your friends also wealthy? And then you should give your opinion. Are you happier now and why or why not? Do you have problems? And what are the positive and negative sides of being rich? You don't need to write whole sentences, just some short notes. Be imaginative while doing it and really feel you're living the life of your dreams where anything is possible. And since you have become so rich and famous, a lot of people would like to know more about you. That's why a journalist from a well-known radio station asked you for a statement to play in his show. Your task is to record yourselves talking about your life. You can and should use the notes you have just written and also describe all the changes that have happened in your life, both for the better and for the worse. What is different from the situation you were in 10 years ago when you were just an anonymous person struggling to pay the bills? And what is the same? What hasn't changed at all? In the end, you should share your wisdom, something you have learned along the way. What should people do to be as successful as you are, and what should they avoid? And here are some tips and tricks about how to do your task. First, your recording should be at least 3.5 minutes long. Before you start recording, you should be prepared and rehearse what you're going to say. There will be no additional questions or interruptions. You have your topics you need to talk about, and you are on your own. In your talk, you should include various synonyms for the word rich and famous we mentioned. And as I have already said, you can use your notes from the previous task, but do not read. Instead, use them just as a reminder and speak as naturally as possible. And also pay attention to the pace and pronunciation. You can use present simple to talk about your life now. Also, use phrases like I would or I used to. For example, I used to sleep until noon, but now I get up at 6 a.m. You can also use these words from the list to make your story flow and be clear. When recording, you can use Vocaroo or your smartphone. And this is your last task for the day. You should create an infographic about a famous person you like or admire, using, for example, Canva or any other tool you prefer. An infographic is basically a collection of images and minimal text that gives an easy to understand overview of a topic. Apart from text, you should use engaging visuals to communicate information quickly and clearly, and to display your research findings or summarize a longer text. Here are some steps you need to follow when creating an infographic. The most important thing is to organize your thoughts and make sure that your content will work in an infographic. First, you need to determine your key takeaways, what the most important points are. Then you need to organize with sections and headers and consider the length of paragraphs and points. You should keep it brief and to the point. There is a huge selection of different templates you can use for inspiration. And you should also consider the colors, fonts, the length, size, and style of each template, and how well each of those factors aligns with your content. According to that, you need to choose the right one. The best infographics use a combination of text, images, and data to inform and to engage. Before creating the infographic, you need to do your research about the chosen person. You should write about some personal information about their life, what that person is famous for, and is he or she rich. You should also include some fun facts which are engaging, and please don't forget about the photos. And here is your checklist for both the recording and the infographic. Your recording should be between 3.5 and 4 minutes long. You should cover all the given topics in the task. You should speak clearly, naturally, and fluently, and include different synonyms for the words rich and famous and appropriate language structures. For the infographic, make sure that you have done extensive research about your chosen person before creating the infographic, that you have included personal information about that person and reasons for his fame, some fun facts, and of course photos. The infographic should also be objective, so without your personal opinion, and please check your spelling and grammar in the end. And this is the end of today's lesson. Until next time, bye bye.